Deciding how to spend our money is a very personal choice, but deciding how to save it is also a strategic personal choice. Today, we're going to talk about some things and decide if it's a deal or a no deal in our frugal lifestyle. I hope you will stick around. I was in the store the other day and I heard a grown daughter talking to her elderly mother. And she said, "We need some sauce." And the mother said, "What kind of sauce do we need?" And she said, "I prefer to go the easy route. It just saves me time. And as far as I'm concerned, it's worth the extra money." That made me start thinking about whether or not we choose things for trade-offs that cost us more, and whether or not in my life it's really worth the extra money. Sometimes when we're working and we have a family and we are going to ball games and we have all of these things inside and outside of work that we have to meet all of these deadlines, sometimes it seems like it's worth the extra money. But then that's also the time in our life where we need the money the most and we are really struggling to make ends meet. Then, when we retire, we sometimes get a whole different view. Our money isn't infinite anymore. We're no longer bringing in a regular paycheck, and we have to make do with what we have, or we don't know how much money it might take or how long our money might last. And it changes the perspective. And so sometimes it's not a deal when maybe it used to be a deal for us to do that. One of the things is doing some of these easy, worthwhile extras that I do around the house. I do easy money saving tasks that I can work into my schedule to save me money, because to me, doing those easy, frugal tasks is worth more than spending the extra money to save time. Right now, I have extra time. And yeah, I'm a little lazy sometimes. I've retired. I want to kick back. I don't want to do a whole lot, but some of this stuff I can work into my schedule and still make it easy on myself without spending the extra money. So let me know, do you like to take shortcuts that cost you more, or do you like to take the time to save you money? Which is it, deal or no deal? Another thing that is a deal or a no deal is a good buy. If we don't get charged the right amount, it's not a great deal. And so often we get overcharged. The number one place we get overcharged is the grocery store. So it's so important to take the time and look over your receipt and make sure that you got charged what you thought you were paying for something. Some stores are better at keeping their prices in the system updated than others. And I've stopped shopping at a few stores that had a chronic problem with always charging me the wrong price, even though the sale was posted. But we have to look at that before we leave that parking lot. If we go home, we are more tempted to not go back. It's not worth our time. Maybe it's out of our way where we stopped, and we just sit it aside, and then maybe the time lapses and we are like, oh, it's just not worth it. That's why I take those few minutes sitting in my car after I've taken it out to the parking lot and make sure everything is charged right. If not, I go right back in and I get my money back right then, because I know once I get home an hour, I may not go back to town for 2 more weeks. And by then, I'm going in and arguing about a price that they can't just check on the shelf and make sure I was right. So it's best to take care of those things right then. The second place that we get overcharged is restaurants. And we had a occurrence of this when we were on vacation. I shared that with you in another video, but we also had a second occurrence of this on vacation that I didn't share with you. We went out for breakfast the last morning before we got on the plane to come home. And at that breakfast, when we checked out, it wasn't that much. It was about $25. But when I sat down and looked at that receipt, they charged us for an orange juice. $4.99 for a glass of orange juice. I wouldn't even buy a half gallon for that amount. And they charged us for a Sprite for $3.59 for a glass of Sprite. We had water, and we also got charged for an extra entree that we didn't order. They had a buy one, get one for a dollar special. So we should have walked out of there paying like $16, and we walked out of there paying like $26. And so when I went back to the counter to get this taken care of, would you believe the manager argued with me? He tried to tell us that we did have those drinks, and we didn't. And I finally got my money back, but it was an ordeal. And taking care of that right away, you have a better chance of getting your refund. So make sure you get a receipt. I had another cashier tell me the other day that she was surprised I wanted a receipt because a lot of people don't want their receipt. Well, I want my receipt. I want it to take pictures for my rebates. I get free cash, free money by doing that on the rebates that I list in my description box. And I bring those receipts home and I use them to track all of my spending and put it in categories so that I know I stay within my retirement budget. So that's just something that I do as a routine. I want that receipt. And then the second thing is I look it over to make sure I got charged right. Because once you leave that area, it's harder to get your money back. So taking those few minutes to make sure you were charged right, for me, that's a deal. So if you don't know me, I am early retired. I am living off of a small income from YouTube and from some investments that I have, and I'm living on that and writing it out until I can draw my Social Security at 62. So I am managing my money very carefully because I do not want to go back to work. I have a lot of back problems. So I use my credit cards as a money-making thing because I'm debt-free. I use them for the cash back that goes back into my budget, and it helps me with several $100s throughout the year. But I got a notice from my credit card company that I could be upgraded to a different card. I could go from getting 1.5% cash back all of the time to one that would give me 3% cash back on my groceries and on restaurants and something else that didn't apply to me. And I looked at that really carefully and I thought, 1.5% on everything. I use it for my car insurance. That's a good hunk back. I use it for a lot of things, like when I'm camping and going to be working at the state fair. I used it for my camping purchase. I got several dollars back for that. I use it for other things where there's not an additional charge to use my credit card so I can earn cash back. And is it really going to make a difference? I thought, I'm really tempted because 3% cash back on food, that's good. 3% cash back on restaurants, we don't eat out that much. So those two things alone might encourage me to shop more or go out to eat more. And I don't need any groceries right now. We are fully stocked, and I'm planning on just living off a lot of what we have other than perishables and trying to get some of my stock used down. I have 2 different pantry shelves. I have cabinets. I have a freezer. I have a fridge. They're all full. And then I have totes and a couple of boxes that are also full. And I would like to get rid of those. So having 3% back for groceries right now, that's really not going to entice me because I'm not going to be doing a lot of grocery shopping. And I decided that 1.5% back actually fit me better because I could use it on everything, no matter what I bought. And the other stuff would encourage me to just spend in those areas to get my cash back larger. And so I decided it was a no deal. Let me know what you would have done. They also offered me another credit card option where I didn't get any cash back and I just earned airplane miles. Well, we don't fly that often. We flew about 3 years ago for a trip, and we flew this year for a trip. But I don't want to just earn miles that I might not use and they might expire. I would rather have the cash money. And I know a lot of people do the miles and they use it for a big vacation, but we just don't fly that much. We have an RV, so we do road travel a lot of times. So that one definitely for me was a no deal. One of the things that I like to do with my extra time in retirement is use strategy to save myself money. So I look at all of these different options and I decide whether or not they make the most sense for me at this time in my life. And I think that's what we all need to do when we are presented with options to either save money or save time, is we have to weigh those options and see if what they are offering us is really worth the money. Because it might be worth the money to save time now, but is it cutting off time that you might get in being able to quit your job earlier, or be able to pay off your home earlier, or pay off your car earlier? Those trade offs sometimes are things that are not at the forefront of our thought process when we're looking at how we can save time on that sauce, like we talked about in the beginning of this video. So when they say time is money, I truly believe that it is, because you can either save money by using your time or you can spend money to save your time. These are things that we just go in a rush day to day and we don't put a lot of thought into it. When we're shopping and we're grabbing those boxed mac and cheeses or whatever it is to save ourselves some time, we don't really think about what the long-term effect is once we've switched over to buying that product and it becomes part of our routine, and we don't go back to the other way of doing it that maybe took a little bit more time. And that's what they cash in on. They have so many convenience items nowadays, whether it is an Alexa in your home, whether it is a cell phone, or whether it is an iPad, or whether it is a laptop, or whether it is a GPS on your car. They have so many things to make it regular, normal, everyday usage of items that didn't used to be normal, everyday usage of items. And then we just kind of forget the old fashioned way of doing anything. And sitting down with that pencil and paper and looking at those receipts, it helps you see where your money is really going and whether or not you have spent your time and your money wisely. So I like to look at all of those things when I'm deciding if something is a deal or a no deal. Is it going to help me right now, or is it going to make my life more difficult? Because once I became debt free, I didn't ever want to go back. It does feel like a load has been lifted off of you. You can just breathe easier, sleep easier. You don't worry all the time. You can think clearer and you can make better decisions. And so often we are operating in that heavy debt on our back, and we don't realize how it affects our decision making. And many times when we have that debt on our back, we are looking for the easier way out to try to relieve some of that stress, when actually it's the debt on our back that's causing the stress. And then when we look for that easy way that costs more, we've just added a couple more pounds to our back. So I like for my videos to be a little food for thought, to get you to think about your own life and to think about options that you have to make your life easier. Let me know. Are you at a point in your life where you look for the easier way if it costs a little bit more? Or are you at a point in your life where you strategize how to save more, even if it takes a little bit more time. And share with us some of the things that you do in either category in the comments below. I learned so much from you, and I know you all learn from each other. And it sometimes sparks more ideas for me and for the followers so that we can make better decisions. Thank you for listening today. If this video has brought you any source of entertainment or you've enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, and I hope you'll join me for another video.